This winner's public spending spree became a documented case study in behavioral economics. Unlike typical winners who purchase luxury items privately, this individual made his expenditures highly visible. The experiment tested whether extreme wealth could systematically increase life satisfaction beyond basic needs. Researchers have long studied the diminishing returns of income on happiness, a concept known as the Easterlin paradox. This public case provided a real-world, high-stakes test of that economic theory. The spending was methodical, targeting areas believed to contribute to well-being, experiences, security, and social status. Documenting such a transparent financial experiment is rare, as most ultra-wealthy individuals maintain privacy. The mechanisms of how money affects psychology involve complex factors like adaptation, social comparison, and autonomy. The winner chose a lump sum payment, which is a common but significant financial decision for lottery recipients. This immediate wealth transfer placed him among the wealthiest individuals in his region almost overnight. Such sudden wealth creates immense pressure, as recipients lack the gradual adjustment period typical of earned fortunes. The desire to prove a point, often about status or capability, can drive risky financial behavior in new lottery winners. This pattern is observed in many sudden wealth cases, where public scrutiny accelerates financial decisions. The rapid unraveling serves as a documented lesson about the psychological impact of instant wealth transformation. Unlike many lottery winners who retreat into privacy, this individual chose to become a public figure, openly discussing his philosophy and plans. His stated goal was not merely to enjoy his wealth, but to conduct a social experiment, testing a common cultural belief. He aimed to prove that with a sufficient amount of money, achieving happiness was not just possible, but a guaranteed outcome. This period, from his public declaration to the execution of his plans, forms the documented core of an expensive experiment. The core facts of his subsequent spending and the consequences are a matter of public record, documented in financial disclosures and numerous interviews. This creates a rare, documented case study on the direct application of extreme wealth toward a specific, philosophical objective. The initial euphoria following the windfall triggered massive, impulsive spending. This included acquiring a multi-million-dollar estate and a collection of luxury and exotic cars. The spending funded a lavish lifestyle for the individual and an expanding circle of friends and family. Driven by a desire to share the fortune, investments were made in local businesses and money was given generously to strangers. This behavior is a documented psychological pattern, where sudden wealth can create a compulsion to redistribute it, often to affirm the new reality. The spending then evolved from simple purchases to funding grand, complex projects. This shift represents a structured attempt to buy or construct a perceived perfect life, moving beyond material goods to legacy-building endeavors. Such project-based spending is a common mechanism for new wealth, aiming to create lasting impact or a personal empire. The subject's vision involved constructing a large, custom-designed private residence intended as a personal paradise. Significant capital was allocated to various business ventures, including some in industries where the individual had limited prior experience. The overarching goal was to create a self-sustaining world of personal pleasure and professional success. This ambitious expansion was accompanied by the rapid accumulation of financial liabilities. The massive estate itself became a major source of ongoing financial pressure. It carried annual property tax obligations reaching well into the six-figure range. This pattern mirrors a common financial mechanism, where fixed, high-overhead assets create inflexible cash flow demands. Such scenarios often involve a mismatch between aspirational lifestyle costs and sustainable income streams. The vehicles required regular mechanical upkeep and legal insurance coverage, standard obligations for any transportation fleet. These financial outlays created a persistent drain on resources, a common pattern in asset-heavy operations. Simultaneously, the business ventures he invested in frequently failed to yield profits. This pattern of poor returns is not uncommon in high-risk entrepreneurship, where success is statistically limited. As his profile grew, so did his social circle, attracting more associates and acquaintances. With this expansion came increased requests for support, favors, and financial assistance from those around him. The mounting expectations created a significant social and financial pressure, a dynamic observed in many rising public figures. This combination of fixed costs, investment failures, and escalating social demands can create a precarious financial and personal situation. The financial burden of maintaining multiple assets created a continuous drain on resources. Each act of generosity, while well-intentioned, paradoxically increased public expectations and demands. This pattern is common in cases where public figures become overwhelmed by their own philanthropy. As financial pressures intensified, personal relationships began to deteriorate. Legal complications involving associates added another layer of stress to an already difficult situation. Public incidents served as visible indicators of the immense pressure affecting daily life. This combination of financial strain and personal challenges created a feedback loop of increasing difficulty. The public nature of these struggles made private recovery increasingly challenging. The narrative shifted from celebrating a lucky winner to documenting a cautionary tale of financial collapse. Despite winning a 9-figure jackpot, The individual faced serious financial troubles within just a few years. This rapid decline is consistent with patterns observed in many sudden wealth cases, where lack of financial planning leads to quick dissipation. Assets were sold off in attempts to stabilize the situation, a common response when liquid funds are exhausted. The dream home faced foreclosure, representing the loss of what was once the ultimate symbol of success. Legal entanglements emerged through lawsuits, adding legal fees and stress to the financial pressure. This combination of asset liquidation, property loss, and legal battles created a perfect storm of financial collapse. The mechanism here follows documented patterns, where sudden wealth, without proper management structures, often leads to faster loss than gradual accumulation. The fortune was effectively gone. It's crucial to separate the verified financial trajectory from assumptions about his internal state. We have a clear record of what he bought and when he lost it. This distinction is common in financial investigations, where objective data must be analyzed separately from subjective interpretations. Patterns in asset acquisition and loss can be tracked through documented transactions, providing a factual timeline. Comparisons to similar cases show that financial declines often follow predictable mechanisms, such as market shifts or poor investments. Without speculation, the focus remains on the tangible evidence of purchases and losses. This approach ensures the narrative stays grounded in verifiable events, avoiding unfounded theories. The psychology behind such financial decisions remains complex and not fully understood. Interpreting outcomes as proof of personal feelings at every stage is a common analytical pitfall. This case illustrates the difference between observable behavior and internal psychological states. The relationship between wealth and happiness has been studied across various psychological frameworks. Financial decisions often involve complex motivations beyond simple frivolity or necessity. Psychological research suggests money's impact on happiness follows predictable patterns with diminishing returns. This analysis requires distinguishing between external observations and internal experiences. The misconception of simple frivolity overlooks the multifaceted nature of financial psychology. This wasn't a simple accident or a sudden collapse. It was a systematic, though flawed, attempt to build an ideal life through capital investment. A common analytical error is to attribute the failure solely to external pressures from friends, family, or predatory individuals. While those social and predatory pressures were undoubtedly real and contributed to the strain, they were not the core structural failure. The foundational issue was strategic and financial in nature. It involved converting a finite, one-time capital sum into a portfolio of high-maintenance physical assets and volatile business ventures. This portfolio was assembled without an underlying, sustainable financial structure to support its ongoing costs and inherent risks. This pattern mirrors financial collapses seen in documented cases of lottery winners or heirs who rapidly deplete their wealth. The mechanism of failure is not supernatural misfortune, but a predictable outcome of unsustainable capital allocation. This case is studied in financial planning circles not as a bizarre anomaly, but as an extreme example of predictable principles. First, a windfall is a liability if not managed as capital. Assets like real estate and businesses are not just toys. They are operational responsibilities with ongoing costs. Second, visibility attracts cost. A public, generous winner becomes a focal point for endless financial requests and business proposals. This makes disciplined no's essential for financial survival. The influx of wealth fundamentally alters one's social and environmental landscape, creating new challenges that financial resources alone cannot resolve. This dynamic is observed in documented cases where sudden financial gain strains existing relationships and introduces complex interpersonal pressures. When such wealth accumulation becomes a public spectacle, the added scrutiny can distort decision-making processes. The core lesson is not that money lacks value, but that treating it as the primary tool in a visible experiment often complicates the pursuit of well-being. Happiness is not a commodity with a price tag. It is a psychological state requiring foundations that monetary capital cannot always construct. This pattern reflects a broader human experience, where external success and internal fulfillment do not always align, a theme explored in various sociological studies. This winner's story illustrates a common financial psychology pattern observed after sudden wealth acquisition. The primary challenge shifts from monetary management to expectation management, both internal and external. Internal expectations often involve lifestyle inflation, career changes, or philanthropic ambitions that may not align with reality. External expectations come from family, friends, and society, creating pressure that can distort financial decisions. This phenomenon is documented in behavioral economics as the sudden wealth syndrome, affecting lottery winners and inheritance recipients alike. The psychological impact often outweighs the financial impact, with relationships and mental health frequently suffering. Financial advisors note that expectation management requires different skills than investment management. This case serves as a reminder that wealth preservation depends more on psychological preparedness than financial literacy alone.